You ready?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to another I Had No Idea podcast brought to you by Landlocked Entertainment. It's pretty wild. It's been a minute for myself I think it's been almost a month since I've done one of these. So it feels nice getting back into it. Today I am with,
Jenica.
and it's cool because we used to work together
Mm-hmm.
and we've known each other for about a year and a half,
Yeah, about 2 years, honestly.
which is crazy because it feels like longer.
It does, doesn't it?
To me, it feels,
It feels kind of shorter.
yeah, it's a weird mix of I feel as if I met you last summer,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel as if I met you when I moved back. So, yeah.
I think it's because the amount of times we've seen each other is like so little. But
But the time that we did have when we worked together
when we met
was
at the
every
first,
day.
yeah,
Yeah,
when we
that's
met
true.
and then to now, like a lot has happened. We've
Yeah.
only seen each other a couple of times.
Yeah, how you been?
I've been good. I've been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on summer break technically, but taking classes for school.
Okay.
So I've got a full semester, so 12 credit hours.
Oh, wow.
And then I and started training courses for phlebotomy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Can you explain that, please?
it's the blood draws.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So
Oh.
I started those classes
Oh.
on. No, it was crazy because I started on Monday. We started drawing on Tuesday.
Like real?
Like it's a class of 17, and so we practice on each other.
Oh.
So I do it to someone, and someone does it to me. So everyone's doing it to each other for the first time.
Wow.
And so yeah,
So you're just getting your blood drawn left and right.
yeah, I have like a tiny bruise now, but I was telling my friends, I was like, I'm waiting for someone to look at me and think I'm like an addict of some sort, with
Yeah.
like bruised up arms. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing that. So hopefully, and that'll be done by the end of this month. So
Oh, nice. That's pretty short.
yeah,
Yeah.
so well, it's 4 hours every day.
Oh, that.
That's what I'm going to after this, and that's why the big one, 6 to 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
it'll be good.
How's the fam?
They're good. They're busy.
Yeah.
Did I tell you we got a dog?
What?
We got a
No?
little dog.
Let me
Dude,
see.
he's the cutest
What
thing.
the heck?
Yeah, we got him for Christmas, and he's a little he's an asshat. He's stupid, but he's an airhead, stupid, but he's also like the sweetest thing ever.
Oh.
His name's Zorro.
Is that a puppy?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, he's a cockapoo, so he is still a puppy, but
Uh-huh.
he won't really grow that big.
Oh, that's a good size then.
Mm-hmm. And well, he's like 10 months now, and he's called the old man's dog. So he loves boys, like men. He's playful with everyone, but like he takes a different comfort to men.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, he'll like get underneath. He'll have so much excitement, and he'll be so happy if a man comes around.
He just wants to be with the boys.
Mm-hmm. Because he's always around women. It's 3 of us and then my dad.
Yeah. Wow. You know, with this podcast, one thing I try to always talk about is, loss, trauma, hardships, and
Got a lot of that.
I was gonna say to start, do you have a time in your life that you were going through it and you didn't really know if you were gonna make it, you didn't really know what the next steps were gonna look, and like what kind of helped you get through that hard time?
Honestly, I feel like that's been my whole entire life. Like I've always had my family, like the name that they carry, that my parents, and the respect that they've earned. It kind of falls onto us, like as children, especially as girls, and like
your last name.
Yeah, the last name, and like even like my dad to this day, like
Excuse me.
he has a really huge community, like out in Overland Park, and a lot of people, like our family does have a lot of respect, and as girls, and then also like them coming from India, and then them having those morals and values in their mind, you weren't really allowed to talk about anything, but like everything stayed in between those 4 walls. He could be in the middle, my dad could be in the middle of screaming, my mom could be in the middle of something, and someone rings the doorbell, someone walks in, we're the happy, perfect family. Like we're picture perfect. It's almost as if nothing happened. So that was kind of my whole entire life, with like everything that has happened from day one to honestly, my birthday last year. Like it's always been, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to do. And I was in like this vicious cycle of like, okay, I'm going to try. Like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to push. I'll try. And then I'd try for like a couple of weeks. I'm like, I'm so done with this. Like, I'm absolutely done. And I like crash out in the sense of like, I just wouldn't care anymore about anything. But this year, so on my birthday, and like specifically for my birthday, since I was turning 21. And then my therapist, whenever I was going to her, she would always talk about how I'm on like the precipice, like that line of being still a teenager and then being an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So when I turned 21, I really, really wanted to get out of this vicious cycle, because right before that, too, I had something happen and I was just kind of tired of it.
Mm.
And I think I decided that one thing that helped me a lot, like in that time, especially like when I was a child, obviously there wasn't much that I could do because I was a baby girl and
Mm-hmm.
I was still underneath the care of my parents. But I think now it was like, one, I'm not the only one. Like there is someone out there who is either going through the exact same thing or going through worse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and two, like I'm not on anyone's timeline,
Mm.
and I'm not running by someone else's book. I'm not running by someone's planned out like an Excel sheet for Janica's life. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's none of that. It's like no one knows what's going to happen the next second,
Right.
and no one knows what's going to happen at any point in time.
Yeah.
And so I think the only thing that got me through it was believing that a lot of these things is because of a lot of the things that happen is because of who I am.
Mm.
And if these things happen because of who I am, I'm not going to regret who I am. If anything, I'm going to change. Like I'll take accountability. I'll look back. I'll be like, did I do something wrong in this situation? What can I learn from this situation? I'll build on it and I'll grow on it, but I'm not going to regret, or I'm tired of making myself feel like I'm the problem or I'm wrong. When everyone's their own person, everyone's got their thing, and I don't have to be friends with everyone. Everyone doesn't have to like me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go to med school like right after undergrad just because the next door neighbor did it. Like I don't need to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what really pushed me to just live life and just be happy and take every day as it comes, and then know that I am worthy and I am capable of doing it. I am capable of it. I was told all my life and I felt all my life that I wasn't. That'll just be underneath everyone's shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't live the rest of my life like that.
Yeah.
Because when I have my own family, when I have my own children who are going through shit like this and they come to me, I can't look at them and be like, I went through the exact same thing. This is why I'm here. Like, no, I want them to grow. I want them to be okay. So if I want them to, that means I have to.
Right.
So I just taking accountability for what I can do and being better every day, and knowing that I'm capable of being better, knowing that I am a nice person.
Yeah.
I am a good person.
Yeah.
And it's okay if not everyone likes it.
Yeah. I used to have the same thing of, I needed everyone to like me, or I needed
Mhm.
everyone to think that I was super nice, or like I withheld this image of myself
Mhm.
to where it was too much pressure.
Yeah.
Where I got to a point, I think when I was about 2021, when I just thought it was a weird switch. So I remember it was the winter break and I went back to college, but I went back early because I could just be by myself, because I was in the dorms, and I think there was 4 of us, but 2 of them were gone. One of them came like after there, so I had probably a good 3 to 4 days of like solidarity.
Yeah, solidarity, isolation.
Yeah, isolation.
Solidarity. Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to meditate. I'd always wanted to try to just sit with myself.
Mhm.
And I finally allowed myself to. The distractions were gone. Everyone else was gone, and it was really nice because in that moment when I was meditating and I was sitting with myself, I realized that a lot of my reactions were just because people were pushing my buttons and I was allowing them to.
Mhm.
So people would say stuff because they knew to get a reaction out of me. So then I thought, well, I don't like that. And then I also had a realization of, okay, why do I care about those things?
Mhm.
Growing up, my parents always said, just be your best you. And something I always think about too is, I never fit in, so why start now?
Mhm.
So, and there's all, there there's never going to be a better version of you. There's only you, so might as well
Exactly.
be the best.
My mom always used to say when I was a kid, like, don't depend on other people for your happiness.
Yeah.
And it like that was when you're a kid and your mom says something, you're, you don't know, like but in all reality, like I say that to myself all the time. Like if you and I are like we're best friends and this and this and this, I can't rely on you to keep me happy, and that's not your job or obligation either. It's not. And so if I can't do that for myself, then the resentment, the feelings, the everything will go towards you for someone who you're not obligated to. It's a choice. Everything's a choice.
That's an amazing point that you have, because I stray away from saying, oh, you make me happy, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with you, because it's not, to me, I think true happiness comes from within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can feel joy, you can feel excitement, you can be happy for others. But yeah, saying to a significant other, oh, you make me happy, or oh, I wasn't happy before you, and now that I'm with you, I am. That puts an unwaverly, it puts a lot of pressure.
I was gonna try to help, but I couldn't find the word either.
The words are not coming today, but it just puts so much, because then, in the back of their head, if they have an off day
Mm-hmm.
and they're thinking, oh, well, I love this person, but I can't make them happy today,
Mm-hmm.
that's not anyone's responsibility.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times too, people don't agree with that because they don't want to depend on themselves, and they don't have to look in the mirror, and they don't want to take accountability, like you
And
said.
see what they gotta see, face what they gotta face.
Yeah.
It was like when I was thinking about when you were saying you had that moment of like, it's not always a feel good moment.
No.
Like it's not. I know I've had multiple of those where I'm sobbing, like
Yeah.
absolutely on the ground. It's like that no sound cry, like it's just broken. But it's the feeling after you've gotten out of that, like out of that, getting up off the ground, and you get up, you put your shoulders back, and you lift your head up, and you're like, all right, like I got this,
I am that bitch.
I am, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you can be that bitch, I can be that bitch.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then when it comes to relationships too, I think one thing that I learned or I tried to do is my boyfriend, my partner, my husband, they're not they're not half of me. They're like, in my heart, yes, you have my heart, everything, but personality, character, happiness wise, you give 100%, I give 100%.
Yeah.
And I can't, there are moments where I need to depend on you. Like if I'm not doing okay, I need you to help me. I need you to kind of hold my hand through it. But I need to be whole before I have someone in my life who's giving me all of that, because it's so easy to be codependent on that and not do it for yourself. I always tell people, you are two individuals who choose to come together. You are not coming together and saying, oh, let me just brush this off, let me little this down, let me. There's sacrifices and compromises, but I'm not going to be a different person than I was or who I want to be just because I'm in a relationship, and that's because that's what you want. You're an addition to my life, and I choose to have that addition to my life. We'll grow separately together, or we'll grow separately as individuals, but then also together as a relationship. And I think that's something that also gets lost in relationships, like not having that individuality.
Yeah.
And just like kind of meshing into one human, and that I don't think that works. It can't work.
You lose identity, I think, and I think a lot of people too. It's really cool that you said that, with the 100%, 100%, because sometimes, someone might be 20%, so the other one has to do extra, and then vice versa. But what you were saying with, I'm trying really hard to stay on track. When you were saying, it's going to come to me.
Individuality, coming together, choices.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So it's hard because some people who have never been alone, that's hard. Or vice versa, who have always been alone, that's difficult.
I had to go through that. I think for a long time, especially when it came to men, just because of how I was raised and how it worked in my family, like I was okay with letting it, like, how you said, like, people push your buttons because they know. For me, it was boundaries. Like, people knew that I would just be okay with it. Like, it's fine. And so I allowed them to think that, because then that meant that I still got to be in their lives. I was still getting, like, I would still have that relationship. I'd still have that communication. I would still be a person in their life, and I would crave for that so much that I would quite literally do, like, I knew that it was wrong, and I knew that this isn't who I am, and I knew that it's not what I wanted to do. It's not what I wanted to do, but I'd let myself do it, and I'd force myself to do it, because then that meant that I meant something to that person, or I gave a value. My presence was a value to them if I did this and this and this. And not even with guys too, like with anyone in my life. It was, all right, that's really fine. Yeah, no worries. We'll do it. Yes, 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 and yes. But it was never a no. And that's what allowed. And I won't say that like everything that has happened in my life has been my fault, but there are a lot of things that I allowed. And that was one thing that I had to learn as well. I
Yeah.
allowed that to happen. Did I know I was in a shitty ass relationship? Yeah. But did I let myself be there continuously? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I know that I was losing, like you said, losing my identity? And no, I don't agree with almost every single word that's coming out of your mouth, but I'm allowing it because then that means you'll like me more. You'll love me more.
Or still with me.
You're still with me.
Yeah.
I still get the attention.
Yeah, great, amazing things you just said there. And, I've had the experience with being in past relationships too, where, you know, beforehand I saw the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
I made the choice to still continue to pursue.
Yeah.
Then, once I was in the relationships, I made a conscious decision every day to continue to see the person, to continue to text the person, to continue to call the person, to continue to call the person certain names out of endearment
Mm-hmm.
and nicknames. It's it's a hard reality and a hard thing to grasp that what you don't what you're not changing, you're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because if you get in that pattern, because humans are patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in those patterns, or maybe you grew up in an abusive household, so then you kind of find comfort in that. So then you look for that, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you want to fix it because you grew up and you want to fix your parents' relationships, and then you want to find someone that you want to, and it's just it gets so deep, and it's harder than obviously just saying to work on yourself.
Right.
But it really just comes down to it makes me sad that people don't work on themselves because they get in these cycles. And a lot of times, too, you know, their parents are like that, and their parents are like that, and or the friends they're around are like that. So it's cool that we're on the same page with that stuff.
Yeah.
And before we get more sidetracked, I also wanted to ask, with relationships and with friendships, has there has there been any relationships or friendships that have ended that you didn't see coming? And how did you kind of handle that?
Almost all of my friendships. Relationship, I've only had one serious one. And that one I knew it was gonna end. That one I knew it was not gonna be the end goal. All of my friends that I called best friends, and I was the type of person who only had one person. Like
Mm.
I wasn't a group. Like I'd be friends with people in a
Excuse me.
group, but I only had that one best friend. All of them, they all ended in very unexpected ways. Like, and it was over in a span of a day too. Like it
Oh,
was found another friend and would hang out with them, and then I just would never hear from you again. And then if I called you out for it, then it'd be, well, you did this and this and this and this and this, and I'm so sick of you and this and we're done. I was like, oh, all right then. What was your question? How did I
basically,
get through that?
kind of getting blindsided by a loss of a relationship or friendship, and how did you kind of, you know, loss in any way is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get through that?
Um, how to get through it with the first friend of mine, she was the high school best friend. I think at that point I just realized and understood that we don't have to be friends.
Hmm.
It's like I said, it's a choice,
Yeah.
and I
Did you feel like
can't.
you're kind of forcing at the end of it a little bit, or?
Well, whenever we had like stopped being friends, it was like like I said, it was over one text, like one fight that we had, and after that we never spoke again. um I think I just realized that we're grown up now, and that we don't have to be by the hip anymore. You're turning into your own person, I'm turning into my own person.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are two other friends where I'm kind of like, the relationships and the friendships I forced.
Hmm.
That's the thing. I forced the friendships. I was willing to look over all the things I knew you were doing, that I knew you were thinking. I knew that you were taking advantage of me. I
Hmm.
knew that I'd always say yes, so that's why you would ask this and this and this. And so when those friendships ended, I took what I had and I
Mm-hmm.
gained from the relationship, and I said, all right, it's fine.
Mm.
It's fine. And all of the friendships I've ended have never come from me. And that's,
Mm.
I think, speaks also another set of volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they have ended is when I have spoken.
Mm.
When I raised my voice, as in I've spoken out, and I told them, hey, I didn't like that you did this.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, wake up and treat me like your friend. And then that's when all of those came in. And then I was like, okay, so if that's what it takes just for me to speak up about something and we're not going to be friends, then it's fine. It's not it's obviously not something I wanted or I
Mm-hmm.
would choose, but this person's a part of this part of my life. High school, she was my best friend and she was it. But after high school, my life changed, and I don't know that she would have been that person for that. In the
Mm-hmm.
same sense, I had another friend. She taught me so many things. She gave me a lot of things. I got my confidence from her,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And after we stopped being friends, that's fine. It's okay. You go do your thing. I'll go do my thing. You were there for that moment of my life. When college came around, I got a friend. And we were friends. We were really good friends. And I gained, again, another set of confidence and so many other things. Strength, not even confidence at this point, it was strength um, in being a woman and how that is. And I got that, and she got what she got it from me. And it's okay that the friendship ended because, again, where life goes on, things happen. I can't force a friendship. She can't force a friendship. And you were there for that portion of my life, and that chapter is over now.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to flip the page. You
Mm-hmm.
don't read the book backwards. You
Mm-hmm.
always go forwards. You're
Mm-hmm.
looking towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to go back and see what happened in the beginning.
And one chapter doesn't define the whole book.
Exactly. There's it's the whole storyline thing that you learn in English class. There's this and this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other things that go in it. So it's just passing. You know how they'd be like
beginning,
climax,
plot, resolution, or
plot, and then climax.
plot, climax, resolution. Wait, am I missing? It was 4, right?
Introduction.
Oh, intro. Okay, yeah.
Intro, plot, climax, resolution.
Okay, yeah.
And there's so many things that go through that.
Yeah. You know what? Kind of transitioning. What's been one of the, if not the hardest lesson that you've learned in your life so far, or a few of them?
Ooh, hardest lesson I've learned. I think one of the lessons I've learned is I don't know if it would be a lesson, but one thing I did learn for myself that was the hardest thing to learn is that I shouldn't quit. That was one thing. I think there were so many moments where I was kind of ready to be like, okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm totally fine. I'm done with being fine. I'm done with just kind of bye. But I think the biggest lesson, and that's something I have to teach myself every single day. I have to say to myself every single day. So I'm training myself to believe and know that you don't quit and you don't want to quit. You don't. Because so many things that have happened after that have been for the better. There were still shitty things, but they're for the better. And that's the lesson I've learned. There's always going to be shit. There's always going to be shit. You can't prevent it. You can do everything. It's like when you drive on the road. You do everything right, but if the other person doesn't, then you're both getting damaged, or you would get damaged.
You could be the best driver, but there's still someone out there that's
exactly.
Yeah.
There's still there's always going to be something, but it's how you choose to go about it.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really hard thing for me to learn, because that's something that covers life at this point. That's just what life is. It's a game, and you want to win the game.
I forgot too to tell you at the beginning that you're also more than welcome to ask me anything.
Okay.
So I figured I try to remind myself, tell people if you ever have questions or if you ever have something you want to ask, or you're always more than welcome.
Sure.
Yeah, the game of life is a roller coaster.
It's intense.
Yeah, I can't think about a time that I've grown that there wasn't struggle in the beginning, or there wasn't uncertainty, or there wasn't nervousness, or there wasn't confusion, And that's one thing that I'm excited about this move for myself, is because I really try to live by, when it feels most scary to jump is when you jump. And there's so many frequencies and so many vibrations out in the world that we don't know until we go out and seek it. Exactly. It's all already out there. What we want to do, what we're supposed to do, different variations of it is all out there, and it's all possible. It's just if we allow ourselves to put ourselves in those situations. It's if we're able to muster up the strength, if we have the confidence, and sometimes people say, you have to have a good team backing you. And I think that can help a lot, but a lot of times some people don't have anyone.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth with myself about when people say I don't have anyone, because more than likely there's probably at least one person that might not give them what everything they want, but there's still going to be some support,
Mm-hmm.
or there's still going to be some love.
Mm-hmm.
But I also can't say from personal experience because I've always had my parents.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I think that I don't have anyone. Some people, that don't, but I think sometimes you say that because you feel like you have no one.
Yeah,
And I think that's an internal thing as well.
yeah.
Because, sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, I remember I used to say that shit all the time when I
Mm-hmm.
was going through something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have anyone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone comes and talks to me, but I don't got anyone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly kept saying that up until like a couple months ago when I woke up and I was like, Nika, don't disrespect. And honestly, I feel like for me personally, it was like I was insulting the friendship and like disrespecting that friendship.
Yeah.
Because like
Discrediting it.
discrediting it, like all the times that you did listen, or maybe you didn't listen and you just offered that company when you didn't know what I was going through, but you still offered that company, and out of nowhere you're like, Nika, you're just such a good person. I love you so much. You're such a that is what I need to remember. And not remembering that, not acknowledging that is disrespectful and to the relationship and to that person who's pouring that love and time and effort into you. Um, and so realizing that people do love you,
Yeah.
and there are people who love you. They may not have the best ways of showing it,
Or the way that you want them to show it.
exactly, but they do, and they do their best that they can. And closed mouths don't get fed too. That's the thing.
I was gonna add on to what you were saying. If you don't, because someone, maybe they were saying, I'm not the best at reaching out first, but if you ever call, I'm always gonna be there for you,
Exactly.
or stuff like that. Or if you're gonna message me, I'm gonna message you back.
Mm-hmm.
It might take a little bit. It might not be instant, but So yeah, it's crazy how love languages and how things and how people show up for each other and how support comes in all different shapes and forms, you know? And again, I think that's just being open minded to it because and knowing love languages. I think they should teach love languages in school because it's so crucial.
It
Because
is kind of a really vast and important thing.
yeah, when I was growing up in high school and stuff, I would show my love in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would receive them from my friend group in a different way, and all of them would be separate.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt weird for me because I was giving, all five of the love languages as much as I could,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I'd only receive a little bit from one friend, and then a little bit from another, and then a little bit from But it's also they they could still have the same amount, if not more, love for me. It's just that they might not be able to show it because they weren't shown that as a
Mm-hmm.
as a kid, or they weren't taught or told that giving someone their flowers is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I really try to do that, and that's fun. It's a fun thing I've been doing when I do interviews is a portion where I say, shout out someone that you want to give you flowers to right now. So that's been fun.
Yeah, that's cutie. Yeah.
What is with death, that's a whole nother ball game.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a loss. Is there anything that you're open about talking about an experience that was hard for you that you got to work through?
I haven't experienced a lot of like family member deaths. My whole entire family's in India.
Mm-hmm.
So the only family that I have here and that I have a close relationship with is my sister, my mom, and my dad. So whenever someone died, it was kind of like, okay. And then listen, like when I had friends coming and telling me, "Oh, my grandpa died, my uncle died," I was like, "I'm really sorry for your loss. Like I genuinely am, but I couldn't feel that pain. I couldn't empathize with you." Um, the first death that I faced or experienced was my dad's little brother, my uncle, and he was a great guy. I never I barely saw him too. I think I saw him the times I visited India.
Mm-hmm.
But he was amazing, and I don't think I realized the intensity and the value of his presence in our life. Not just mine, like in our families too. And him passing was kind of like a really, really big like blur.
When was it?
When it was my senior year of high school. So a couple of years ago, like 2016. So not my senior year of high school. Middle school. It was middle school, sorry. Middle school. 2016 is when he died. He like died. I came home from school. My dad had like texted into the family, no, this like big group chat that we have with this Bible Christian Bible study. And he was like, my brother has been in an accident. Please pray for him. And so I read that during class, and I was like,
oh no,
yeah. And I was like, oh. But for me, I was always like it's fine. Like nothing's gonna happen. That was the moment where I was like, anything can happen to us, my family especially, or like to me. I would always be like, you know, everyone's like, wear your seatbelt, but you're like, nah, it's fine, I got it. I don't got to wear mine. I was like, he got in an accident. Okay, it's fine. It's okay. And I remember I didn't cry, I didn't stress about it, I didn't anything. I just like called up my dad and I was like, hey, is everything okay? And he was like, yeah, no, like we're figuring it out. And so I didn't do anything. I didn't feel anything. And then I got home, and when my mom was like acting like she was hiding her phone calls, like she was going to the basement and talking on the phone. And that is when I started to like kind of tense up and be like, okay, something is wrong. A couple hours later, or no, like an hour later, my dad comes home. He's dead. Our house filled up with like 70, 80 people that night. And then we got onto the plane like 3 a.m. that day. So like within
all
12
70?
Hours. No, me and my family. Okay. But we had friends and family come. Our house was jam-packed, and it was amazing. Like they did our dishes, they took us shopping, and all within 12 hours because we were on the plane in the bright and early morning.
I still haven't tried your food.
You haven't. And I've been cooking too, man.
You come on Sunday?
Sure.
To the event?
Yeah. I'll come with Jackie because I'll be there on Saturday.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
That made me think. I said dishes. I'm like, wait, what kind of dishes are you making? Because that sounds fire.
I'll bring some. I always say that. I'll try to bring some this time too. Because you leave in.
Yeah.
So this is the last chance.
Yeah, this is the last event. Because then I'll be in Alaska next week for a week.
You are?
Yeah, and then when I come back, it's basically 5 days, and then I move.
When is you gonna pack? Have you started packing?
I need to wait until after my event first.
Okay.
Because I'm going to use that room to kind of put all this stuff in. But realistically, I don't really have that much stuff.
Yeah.
So.
You say that until you get packing.
I'm really not trying to go down there very much inventory. I think I'm only going to have a few boxes.
Kind of go with less than more.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Okay. And then kind of just start a new inventory while I'm down there. So the big stuff, or like the expensive stuff, I'll obviously take with me. But I mean, I'm really hoping to unload a lot on Sunday. I don't know who's coming. I don't know who's showing up. I don't know, but
I think you might.
Everything got to go. I mean, it's kind of like a garage sale. You know, it's like an estate sale.
Everything's got to go. So the what do you call it? Like the real estate sales too.
Yeah.
Everything got to go.
Okay, I didn't want to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
What were we talking about?
You were talking about you and your family went on the plane the next day.
Yes. And then the whole death scene in India is just wild. It's insane. I was, and again, it was my first, like, and the only thing I knew about, like, someone dying is, you have the funeral, you wear black, and you see the body, and then, you know, they bury it.
Are the funerals similar to how we do in America?
No.
No?
It was really intense. Like I said, my family still had, like, a really huge name. My grandpa, he did a lot of stuff, so a lot of people knew him. We had about 300 people like outside of our house when we came home, and they kept the body there so we could get there and see him. Everyone comes by and they like kind of bless him in a sense. They like put the garland and, you know, say whatever, and then you take the body to the church, and then that's like the viewing, and then after that we go to the graveyard. So it's kind of the same, but I guess like the actions are the same, but the vibes and the people, and because here if someone dies you respect their privacy. You're like, let me give them some time. You're not gonna, but there that's not a thing there. Like we had hundreds of like people sobbing, crying, pushing like me and my sister and my dad out of the way.
Wow.
Pushing pushing us out of the way. Like we were in the back most of the time, and they're like strangers up on my uncle, and I was like, and that's what was really different and really kind of annoying. Not annoying, but it was really hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard because I had to grieve with a community instead of with my family, with my loved ones. So that was hard.
And it sounds like the funeral was pretty quick. So he passed away, and then you went on a plane the next day?
Mm-hmm.
So then was the funeral the next day? Or like 2-3 days after?
I think it was the day of. No, it was the next morning because by the time we had gotten there, it was like midnight, like in the middle of the night. He had died the night before.
So it's just 2 days into the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that common?
Yeah, I think so. It's
Yeah.
I don't because they don't do like the embalming and the viewing, the funeral service. You have a funeral service, but not with the body there, like how you'd have it here. You just go
Mm.
buried. Um, sorry, I use humor when we talk about deep and serious things.
You're good.
So that was like my first death
Yeah.
experience. Um, I have another death experience. That one's a little like deep, deep in the sense of like kind of my own.
If you don't want to talk about it,
But
you don't
kind of,
have to.
I mean, I can, but I don't know like what is okay to be
Oh
talked
yeah,
about.
you can get
Yeah,
as
talk
deep as
about
you
it.
want. Yeah.
So, um, what was it? My senior year of high school, my parents had went out of town, and so to India, and then my sister was at college. So I was alone at the house for a month and a half, and it was senior year, and so that obviously, I was like, do whatever the hell I want, you know. Um, and I was barely taking classes that semester. It was like CAPS, which is a different program that I went to, and then choir and a class who that teacher does not fail you. If anything, he'll give you 50, but he will not fail you. So I was like, well, and it was English too. So it's like I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school. I didn't do anything. I hung out with anyone and everyone. I was drinking all the time. I was alone all the time. I was alone a lot, and my family is Christian, and so one thing, so there was a night and like a couple of things had led up to like the feelings I was feeling that night, but that night was my night where I was like, I'm done trying. I just want to, I'm gonna cry. I just don't care anymore. And it was like that crash out thing I was talking about. I wasn't planning on doing anything. I wasn't feeling like I wanted to end anything. It was just like let me just not care, man. Let me not care what people think. Let me just live my life and just go about it. And that was the thought process I was in. But out of nowhere, um, all I could like it was like an instant thought where like I remember that there was a bottle of Tylenol in the cabinet. And I've always been the person who I don't really take painkillers unless I'm told to by the doctor. Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go have surgery, even when I'm on my period, like I don't take it
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm like gonna pass out. We need to go to the hospital. I've been to the hospital more than I've taken painkillers for my
Oh.
period. Yeah, so I don't take painkillers. And so for me to remember that it was there, and then the one and only time that in that night and when we had that bottle, that was the one and only time our family had purchased the extra strength Tylenol. And we never purchased extra strength of any painkiller or medicine. And so it was the extra strength. It was like the jumbo bottle. I never used it, didn't see it, but I remembered in a split second, like it was in my head and I knew exactly where it was. So those two things, and things happen in the hospital for 4 days. I didn't realize until like 3 or 4 months after when like my family as in my cousins had come in during that time because it was like Thanksgiving break. They came in and they were like, Nika, the house was just really off. Like it was really off. It didn't seem like your guys' home. It was cold. It was dark. It was this and this and this. And then my cousin was telling me, she goes, you did call me the night before. And I was like, no, I didn't. She goes, yeah, we were on the call. We FaceTimed for a couple of hours. And she goes, and you were pissed. She was like, you weren't acting like yourself either. And I was like, how so? She was like, well, you had on really, really dark makeup.
Mm.
And she was like, and you were cussing a lot. And you know me, like, I don't say the F word. I don't say that. And I don't really like cuss in a like harshful tone,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm in an argument. I
Mm-hmm.
will do everything in my power to not cuss at you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep it professional when we're having a solid argument. And so, but she was like, you were cussing left and right. You were saying that you were just done with this and you're this and this and this. And I was like, okay. Like,
Mm.
and so like things are adding up, things are feeling, like when you watch a horror movie, the first thing is your house is cold. As soon as my parents left, mind you, it's winter, as soon as my parents left, the heater stopped working. So my house was always cold, which means I was never in my house. I was all probably in my car half the time. And when I was in my house, I never turned on all the lights because that made it seem more empty for me. And I wasn't always a lights person. I was always dark room with a lamp.
Mm.
And so it was always a dark room with one lamp. Wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating. And so I went through this phase. Well, not a phase, but I kind of realized it was more than just like a Nika wants to end it. It was kind of like more on a spiritual side. And I was told, and I started to realize that ever since I was a child, like there have been so many things that have happened that have been, and this is how I see it, which is what has helped me a lot too. They were like attacks. They were attacks that knew would get me. That was the thing. In moments where I wasn't able to stay up on my own 2 feet, that's when they would happen, and I would fall in it, and I would fall for it. And I think that was not that scary for me, honestly. That's the thing. It wasn't scary,
Hmm.
but it was very like, I think what happened after I got back from the hospital is what made me be like, damn, because I had one of my best friends at that time, my best friend at that time, she looked at me, she said, "You wanted attention, didn't you?" And I was like, "Oh." And I was like, "No, I didn't." She goes, "Well, then you would have done something, but you decided to do this. You didn't want to get." I was like, "No, I don't think that's the reason."
Attacking you after that's crazy.
Yeah, and what was what's even crazier is she prides herself on telling stories of how, she takes Benadryl to make sure that she doesn't want to wake up in the morning, and so she can sleep longer.
What the heck?
And
I'm
I
glad there's no longer a friendship there.
Right, and I asked her, I was like, "What about you? Like, you do this and this," and she was like, "Well, I never did it with this intention." I was like, "Okay."
Hmm.
And so I got, and that was the thing too. That's what made me turn another leaf. Almost all of my closest friends said it was attention. All of my closest friends too, not like the random people were like, "Are you okay?" My closest friends, "You did this for attention, didn't you? Why would you do that, Nika? Like, why? If you just needed something, you could just told us." And so that really changed. Like, yeah, I could have been gone and it would have affected a lot of people, but they move on. But my life is over. So why would I give something up where there's so many years ahead in my life, so many things that could happen, where I've ended for myself. Um,
Excuse me.
and so yeah, those were the two experiences when it comes to dying and like not seeing tomorrow anymore,
Yeah.
that has really affected me and how I see life. Honestly, I've still had moments after that where I'm like, I'm done, like I don't want to do this anymore, but I keep telling myself that, because I woke up the next day, there was a reason I woke up.
Yeah.
There was a reason I woke up. I remembered when I went to the hospital, they're like, I was basically in liver failure. Because I'd went the first time, they said you're this, like the count for it is like at a kind of low number, but we can manage it, just take some rest. Went back that same night, like 4 hours later, and it went up into like the thousands. And so what I realized was, if I had taken like one singular pill more, I wouldn't be here.
Dang.
So there was a reason I woke up. There was a reason why the closest friends, who are not my close friends anymore, I don't speak to them anymore, said you did this for attention.
Yeah.
There's a reason, and because that happened, also my family really woke up as well. They woke up to acknowledging it. They always knew that my sister and I were depressed, and they knew that I had anxiety. They knew that we were harming ourselves. My mother is a nurse, and she would see cuts and she would see the risks, and but she would look at them and then just like not talk about it. Or when I always wear bracelets, and that habit started because we can't be visible about it. um, my parents would just like, they hated that I wore bracelets all the time. And so they would take it off and they'd see it. So they'd just give it back, but they wouldn't mention anything about it. So I think after this happened, they kind of woke up. They're like, okay, you know what? There might actually be something. Because in their head also, it's, what can you possibly be sad about? Like, you live you live in the United States of America. You're going to Blue Valley. You have a house. You have food. You have God, you have us. What do you have to be sad about? And so that was a real wake up call for them, that changed a good dynamic in my family as well. They say that the younger kids are supposed to break the cycles. So I guess I broke a cycle there.
There you go.
And that allowed me to get help. It allowed me to be able to talk about what was going on, and it allowed them to kind of understand, hey, she's actually kind of going through some shit right now.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know everything that's going on with her, and damn, she's actually hit a lot.
Yeah.
She actually went through a lot. And so they were able to understand that, and it was a real huge experience. But I learned so much, and I've shaved off so much dead weight off of myself after that. It was embarrassing. after got up and after I heard what I heard from my friends and my family, it was embarrassing. But it only made me want to do better
Mm.
and get stronger and
Mm.
kind of, I'm not a weak person because I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a weak person because I'm sad. And I'm not a weak person because I have a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a strong ass person because I have a mental illness and I can still do the things that you do.
And you got through it, and you're
And I'm
here,
here
and
today.
you're still walking, still
And
getting
I'm
up,
doing
and still getting
everything that I
after it.
can.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my best. I give my 100% every day.
Yeah.
If I can't give my 100%, it's okay. It's fine. But let me make sure that I did what I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. And I will continue to do it. So
Yeah. Hey, that's a beautiful story. It's such a great full circle story, and well, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. I don't think I knew that,
no, I don't go telling
so
people.
thank you for sharing
Yeah.
and being open. And I think on that note, that's probably going to end it. But
It's a really dark note to end on.
but it's positive
It's
because
good
of
though,
everything that's
yes.
come out of it, and
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to, But before we go, is there anything else you want to say? Anything you want to ask? And then anything that you want to, like, do you want to put your socials out there? Anything? Like, you want to leave? What, like, how do you want to end this?
How do I want to end this?
Some people do it with quotes. Some
Mhm.
people do it with funny messages. Some people do it with "see ya."
Well, I think what I'm gonna say is wake up and be happy. It's a choice. It's not always the easiest choice.
Mm-hmm.
Be happy and be okay with what's going on.
Mm.
And do what you got to do.
Mm.
Do what you got to do. I think that's how I'm going to end this.
Do what you gotta do.
You do what you got to do for yourself to make sure that you are the best version and you are everything that you know you can be.
I love that.
And yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to do great. And I think you're going to do great too.
Thanks.
Yeah, let me also say this. Thank you for being and doing what you're doing as well, because when we first met at work, I was like, you were very like active, very energetic, and it took a lot because all of us weren't like that. We were very like, we're back at work again. But I always, like, every single day, I always appreciated your energy, because that I would walk into work from a very bad day or a very bad night. Like, you don't know everything that happened at that time, but you know I was going through shit. And I just appreciated your heart sunglasses
Mhm.
and the hat, and I just appreciated your energy every single day, because it really did make me want to come into work happy. And it did make me happy for those hours that I was there. And everything that you're doing now, your message and your motto, your mission, your mission statement is a really, really great thing. And it needs to be heard more often. And everything that you do to make it heard is seen and valued. And so thank you, Nico, for Landlocked Entertainment and for letting me come and talk about my deep shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all, that's going to do it for this episode. If y'all have any questions, as always, comments below. Appreciate y'all for watching. Peace and love, and I'll see y'all in the next one.